Hello YouTube, it's me, Amaretto Mama. It's Thursday, February 12th, coming to you with a Empire review, Season 1, Episode 6, out. Damn spot. Everybody is in a predicament in this one. Alright, I'm not, as I said before, I'm not going to go through blow by blow and comment on every scene, because that would take me a whole hour to do a 1 hour show review for a show that's only 1 hour. So I'm just going to go to the parts that just tripped me out. First part that tripped me out tonight was Cookie. Cookie showed her tail literally at the restaurant. Lucius invited her out to dinner. He didn't tell her what it was all about. She was thinking about the rose that he left and thinking that this is going to be a romantic dinner between him and her. They show her in the beginning going through her closet like we women do, pulling out everything out of the closet, trying to find the perfect. What you listening to? Why you turn the TV down, nosy? Now I ain't gonna turn it back up. Okay, so Cookie's in her closet trying to find the perfect outfit to wear to dinner with Lucius. Now everybody knows that Cookie is still in love with Lucius. She never had a chance to fall out of love with him because even though she was away from him for 15 years, she was still holding on to the good memories that they had, even though she was living a life of hell in prison, probably alone and lonely. She never fell out of love with him because she had no reason to. Other than the fact that he didn't come and visit her and he divorced her, we as women, we overlook a lot of stuff. Okay, so he invites her out to dinner. She shows up in this sable coat and this bag and these thigh-high boots. She walks in, and as he takes her by the arm, you know, he meets her halfway at the door and escorts her in. And she says, you know, Lucius, I'm feeling a little uncomfortable about this. And he's like, uncomfortable about what? And she says, because you know, you left me that rose and everything. And he says, oh no, that's not what this is all about. Come on. He could have told her right then what he was about to do, but what was he going for, the shock factor? I can't stand Lucius sometimes, but I love him. So they sit down at the table, and as soon as Cookie sits down, he tells Anika to stand up. Stand up, darling. She does, with the smile on her face, because she knows what's about to go down. Cookie doesn't know. And she knows Cookie doesn't know. So he stands up and says, I want you all to be the first to know that I've asked Anika to marry me. And of course, that don't sit well with Cookie. But she sits there and sips on her champagne. She slurps it. And he starts telling the story about how he proposed because, of course, Andre's wife wanted to know, Rhonda wanted to know how it all went down. So he goes blow by blow. He was there, you saw it, you know, with the ring, 18 carats, Burt Reynolds, whatever. Flew in Anthony Hamilton from Paris to sing, you know, blah, 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 blah. Of course, that impresses Hakeem because he thinks his daddy's doing it big, but what he don't realize is his daddy can do it big. Right? Okay. So Cookie says, so hold up, wait a minute. So last Wednesday, you brought me a rose, but you had already proposed to this bitch? And Anika's like, Rose? What about this rose? And she turns, Cookie gets up and turns around to walk away. And of course, the part that tripped me out was when she lifted up her coat and said, and Anika, this is an ass. Whoop, and hit herself on the butt and walks out the door, and everybody's like, oh, that damn Cookie is a mess. She is a mess, but I love her. Then, Lucius has an episode. His ALS starts to flare up while he's at home eating, and he nearly passes out. Well, when he straightens himself up, he hits the TV remote, and he sees the detective going through his trash. Well, he goes to tell Vernon what he saw. So Vernon told him, well, if he's already here snooping around, and you're already a suspect, right? Right, so we'll go back to that. Then, so he just comes clean to Vernon, you know. He says, yeah, he killed him. He is justifying Bunky's murder by saying that Bunky was trying to get him for $3 million. So Vernon said, he said, well, what was I supposed to do? Vernon said simply, you should have paid him. You should have paid him. Then he asked Vernon to help him clean it up, and of course Vernon does. Vernon suggests beefing up security. Now, I think this is strange. The first thing he wants to do is beef up security. Why? Who gonna come get him? But he wants to beef up security. So, Vernon is going to put his men in place, and this is just my opinion. Vernon is going to put his men in place at every strategic point in that building, in the Empire building. And that's so when the shit go down and he tries to take over, don't tell nobody I told you, but I think Vernon and Andre is going to try to take over. Vernon and Andre are in alliance. They're going to try to take over. So he's getting his security boys in there so that when the shit go down, they can lock everybody out. And of course, they in there. Okay? That's just my opinion. Then it shows where Michael, poor baby, I feel for him. He's so in love with Jamal. And Jamal loves him too, but Jamal has a career, right? And his career is picking up and things are happening. So Michael is feeling a little unimportant, you know. And Jamal is starting to feel the changes himself, but I don't know if he understands what exactly it is he's feeling. I think his manhood is coming out. His masculinity, I should say, is coming out, because even homosexual men have their manhood. I'm talking about his masculinity is starting to come out, and his testosterone. Okay? You can't compete with the testosterone. Anyway, so Cookie picks up another artist, Elle Dallas, who's been played by Courtney Love. Now, Courtney Love, we all know, she's from back in the day. You know, she did her thing. She put it down, I think, I guess. I don't know. I never did like her music, but she picks up Elle Dallas. And Elle is a has-been diva who lost her edge. I mean, you know, she got involved. She got old. She lost her voice. She starts doing drugs. You know how they do. So Cookie wants her because they're getting ready to fire her. Empire wants to fire her. Anika does, but Cookie was like, no, because she's the one who got me through. The music that she sang got me through while I was in prison. And a lot of people can relate to that. So she was like, no, she wanted her. But Elle didn't want to have nothing to do with no ex-con. She really didn't. And she told Cookie and Lucius that. And I thought maybe that was going to be the end of it. But it wasn't. It flashes over later in this, where Cookie's at this trashy Fleabag motel getting Elle out. She got some guy laid up in the bed. He's sleeping half naked and she trying to get high. So basically, Cookie goes in and rescues her. It's like an intervention. I was going to say intermission, but intervention is what that was. So she gets her out of there and, you know, shows her a little love and gets her in the studio. When she gets in the studio, she sounds like crap. I'm talking about Elle. Elle sounds like crap. So, of course, Elle is blaming it on her backup singer, so Elle puts all the backup singers out, and Cookie's like, it's not the backup singers, honey, it's you. You don't have it. You got to reach back and get it. It basically is what she was saying. So she went in there to talk to her, and she said, you got to stop hiding. You got to stop hiding behind these furs and these makeup and all this old mess, and take them fake-ass eyelashes off, and she does. And I was just wondering, was there tears in Courtney's eyes, or was that part of her makeup? Because if those were tears in her eyes, I would think that what Cookie was saying about wanting to make a comeback and this was her chance to make it big again might have struck a chord in Courtney's real life. I don't know, because I don't follow Courtney. I don't know what her life is all about. I do know she was a big thing at one time, but I haven't heard much about her, so I really don't know. But it looked like she was crying real tears, and that says a lot. That says a lot. It looked like real tears, but then again, it could have been glycerin. You know, it could have been that glittery crap that she had around her eyes looking all ridiculous. I don't know. But if she was crying real tears, I think that what Cookie was saying struck a chord, not only in her character, but probably in her real life. But anyway, I ain't going to keep reading into that. I'm going to leave that one alone. Okay. Jamal is tired of Hakeem. They go to one scene where Hakeem comes up to Jamal and asks him for his help with this song. He's saying he needed it. There's something missing. He needs his brother to help him out. Now, Of course, Hakeem is a kid. I mean, you know, he's young. He's a grown man, but he's a kid. You know what I'm saying? And he hasn't been exposed to a whole lot of things that young men his age have been exposed to. So it's a lot he doesn't know and don't understand, which explains why he still hates his mother for not being there. But anyway, so he goes to Jamal and asks Jamal to help him out. And Jamal was like, no, how long you think I'm going to let you dog our mother out before I say something to you about it? How long you think I'm going to let you use me? And Jamal turns and walks away and leaves his baby brother just standing there looking a little dumbfounded and lost. I didn't like that so much. I didn't like the way that went down. Of course, Hakeem's supposed to stand up to his brother and let him know what he's doing wrong, because everybody needs direction. Who needs a whole bunch of yes men behind them saying, yeah, do that, yeah, you do that, yeah, if that's what you want to do that, yeah, that's cool, do that, do that. You don't need that. People, if those are the kind of people you got in your life, they're not for you. They're just for what they can get from you from doing what you do. You need people around you that's gonna say, no, dog, that ain't right. That right there ain't cool. No, you shouldn't do that. That's not cool. But if you got somebody seeing you getting ready to do some old stupid stuff and they egging you on, yeah, bro, I got you. Do that, do that, do that. He ain't for you. She ain't for you. You need somebody that's going to tell you when you're about to do something wrong. Sometimes you can't see it for yourself. But anyway, okay, I'm going to get off of that. So Jamal tells his brother, nah, he's done with him for now. Of course you know it's for now. He's done with him because he's tired of him dogging out their mother and he needs to stop using her. And all while Hakeem is standing there, all I kept thinking with my old self is, that boy is so fine. You know what? I gotta stop doing that. But anyway, so they cut to a scene where Porsha is getting in the elevator. I guess she's leaving the Empire building, and Anika gets on the elevator with her. And of course Porsha don't say nothing to Anika because Anika is her arch enemy, her boss's arch enemy anyway. So she don't say nothing to Anika while she's standing in the elevator. But Anika goes, hey girl, now you know when some half of that ain't really feeling you and they never felt you, walks up to you and says, hey girl, you better believe they got some stuff in the game. You can't trust them kind of girls that walk up to you and you know they ain't feeling you. Hey girl, you be like, bye girl. Advice from Mama Red or Mama, I'm just saying. Alright, so anyway, so she gets on the elevator and plants a little something in Anika's ear, telling Anika that she's being mistreated by Cookie and Cookie ain't paying her right. And she says, what if I tell you a way that I know a way where you can make double what she's paying you? And she walks up the elevator and leaves it like that. Now you know Porsha, already Porsha got something going on, because she be on that phone texting and, you know, doing stuff all the time. And I know she ain't talking to Porsha to Cookie all this time. Then again, she might be, but it don't look like she is. It look like she got something going on the side where she either selling some information out, she's selling somebody out or giving away somebody some information, some inside information to somebody. I'm not sure, but that's what it looks like to me. Then it cuts over to Lucius talking to this doctor who has already lost his his practice license for doing unethical things with medications that are not really approved by the FDA yet. So he's telling Lucius about this breakthrough medication cocktail, medical cocktail, probably something what like Magic Johnson had when he first got diagnosed with HIV and everybody was dying but him. Okay, so Lucius is looking for this cure for ALS, and this doctor is promising him that in Russia they have come up with this cocktail that 60% of their patients are living and have lived, beat it, and are still alive. So the doctor tells Lucius, you know, it costs a whole lot of money, and Lucius is like, you know, money is no object. He didn't use those words, but that's pretty much what he meant. But he needs to be careful, because if you don't get your money right in writing, somebody will come in and take it all. Lucius, don't be dumb. We know you're sick and we know you're about to die, but you need to watch your coins, honey. All right. Then I had a revelation after that. After I was watching Jamal in, I don't know if it was in the studio or on the set, but he had he was singing a new song, and Cookie was there, and all these other people were there I didn't recognize. And this one guy, I guess he had a radio show, and he was interviewing Jamal. But before before the music stopped and before the interview, Jamal was on stage singing his song. He was dancing back and forth. And I had a revelation. This show right here could be the show to make these young black men pull their fucking pants up. Think about it. This could be the show that makes young men not wear them tight ass skinny jeans. Now I'm using vulgarity and right now because that's really how I feel. I think that these young men, although they are all probably highly intelligent doing their own thing, I'm talking about in real life, I ain't talking about on the show, I'm talking about real life African American young men and some knucklehead other men too, but they walk around with their pants hanging down off their butts. I don't understand that. My kids took a picture of a guy down here in Detroit. It's snow on the ground and it was cold this particular day. They took a picture of a guy who was standing on the corner that had on 2 pairs of pants because they saw, you know, the waistline of one pair below the waistline of another pair, and he had on a pair of shorts and a pair of drawers. He had on 4 layers of clothing, and you could see each layer because they were stacked on each other like this. Drawers, shorts, one pair of pants, another pair of pants. They were hanging down past his butt. I mean, his drawers was covering his butt, but then there was these shorts, and then there was one pair of pants, and then another pair of pants hanging down off his butt, and it's freezing cold. Why would you be standing outside with your ass hanging out in the cold and you got on 4 pairs of pants? Pull them up. But hopefully, I'm just praying. I don't know who I need to talk to about this at Empire, because of course, who am I? But I think that would be the perfect venue, the perfect tool to convince these young men to pull their pants up. I don't know why they started doing that. Of course, I heard stories about that the men in prison started that, having their pants hanging off their ass as a way to advertise that they're willing to give the booty up. I don't know. But now these young men are walking around looking like complete idiots with their drawers showing. Why are they doing that? Pull your pants up, young man. I don't care what you say. If you hate me, I don't give a damn. Pull your pants up. And hopefully somebody at Empire will convince them that that really ain't cool. Because it really ain't. I mean, it really is not. And then there's some old heads, almost my age, that's doing that. Who does that? Boy, in their 30s. Pull up your pants. Pull up your pants. Cover up your ass and watch things change for you. Because when you show your ass to the world, that puts a vibe out of negativity. Ain't nothing about your ass positive. That's something you cover up. Not in shame, but in modesty. But anyway, I ain't gonna go there. So anyway, Empire people, find a way to tell these boys to pull their pants up. That's my request. If you don't do nothing else, Empire, do that for me. Do that for the world. Do that for the African American community. Because we look stupid with our young men walking around with their butts hanging out. I mean, okay, I'm done. I'm done with that. Okay. Raven-Symoné has a cameo. Now, I don't know how many episodes she's going to do, but she walks in with this little girl, and she can't get past security, of course, but she eventually does because the guy convinces him that, you know, they know me, I'm family. So it just so happens while she was at the door, the whole family was coming downstairs, every last one of them, in-laws and all. And the girl comes, hey y'all, hey everybody, hey everybody. And they all looking like, oh shit, what this bee want? So Jamal walks up to her and is like, hey, what's up? What you doing here? You know, she was like, I seen your new video. It's playing everywhere. And your daughter, my daughter wanted to meet her daddy. Dum, dum, dum. And everybody's like, what? So I don't know what the story is behind that, but I think in the preview it was showing that Cookie was confronting Lucius about having him marry and sleep with a backup singer. Why did he do that? Was that to portray an image, or, you know, to make the world think that he was straight because daddy already knew the boy was gay? It keeps going back to the fact that he's gay. Stop it, Lucius. So the boy is gay. Let him live his life. Anyway, now I have another question. With this whole Vernon and Bunky and cover-up thing and Lucius. Vernon found somebody to take the guy for this murder. offering him money. And they never said how much money, but they offering him, got to be a boatload of money because they meet him on the streets. And he said, well, when I'm going to start getting my money? And Lucius and them says, as soon as you sign these papers, you're going to get it a little bit at a time. They're going to get it a little bit at a time so nobody becomes suspicious. So then it goes over to them being in the police department with this boy being interrogated or whatever, or being held, and the detective goes over to tell Lucius, you know, I know it ain't gonna bring your friend back, but at least we were able to find the perpetrator. And Lucius is like, yeah, well, at least justice will be done. And he looks over at Vernon and he says, Vernon, after the detective leaves, he asks Vernon how could he ever pay him. Vernon gave him the hardest look. Like, you know how they say if looks could kill? This was a deadly glance. He looked at Lucius like, nigga, if you only knew. But I know. Vernon got some shit in the game. Vernon is trying to take over the empire. Vernon and Andre got something going on. And also, who is this ginger dude that Vernon keeps meeting? This red-haired white guy that he keeps meeting, talking about the first time. Now, I really wasn't paying attention to it because it really didn't resonate. But he would ask Vernon, you ready to quit? Are you ready to quit yet? And Vernon was like, no. Is Vernon deep cover, y'all, from back in the day? That's something to think about. Vernon might be deep cover. I don't know, but that's something to think about. I mean, you know, he keep meeting up with this guy, and the guys keep saying, are you ready to quit? Or, you know, basically what he's saying is, you ready to pull out of this. You know, you've done enough. You know, we already got him. You got the confession of the murder. You got the fact that he, you know, murdered Bunky. Now, these people probably been trying to get to Lucius from back when he was doing the drug thing back in the day. You know, they got Cookie, but Cookie wasn't going to turn on him. So they've been infiltrating and been inside and learning everything from the inside all this time, trying to get to Bunky and trying to bring him down. Now they got something on him, but Vernon don't want to let go. He ain't ready to pull out. Vernon is deep cover. Watch what I say. He is undercover deeply from way back in the day. I bet you. Okay, but that's that. Okay. Now back to Vernon and Andre. What's up with Vernon and Andre? What they got? I know. Vernon and Andre are collaborating or cooperating and trying to take over the empire. So you got two people whispering in Andre's ear. You got Rhonda on one side, and then you got Vernon on the other side. And he's already unstable. You know the saying, a house divided amongst itself can't stand. Well, how is Vernon's mind going to withstand being pulled in two different directions when he's already bipolar? You see what I'm saying? Only thing that's holding Andre together is his education and his medication. Think about that. I'm just saying. So on the previews, it shows where Cookie's yelling at Lucius about the situation with Jamal and the backup singer. I guess they're going to go into that. And also shows that Lucius passes out and is in the hospital, and you know, Cookie is there. Looks like Cookie is there. She's looking through the window at him. You know how they cut and splice and make things look the way they want to look, but it looked like wasn't nobody there. But Cookie was standing outside the window just looking at him, and he looked up and saw her. All right, and then it cuts over to a part where Cookie is talking to him about losing him again, and he's like, you got me now. You got me now. Now what does that mean? Where's Anika in all this? Now after this episode, episode 6, it's only 5 more episodes, I think. I think it's only 5 more episodes or 6 more episodes, y'all. So it's going to be real quick, bam, 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 whatever's going to happen. And I know they're going to keep us on the edge to the very doggone end. But you mark my words, Adrian Amaretto Mama said on February 12th, excuse me, I just spit, forgive me, on February 12th, 2015, that Andre and Vernon are in alliance. Vernon has set up, he's got his men all through the building as security so he can lock Cookie out. He's going to try to lock Cookie out when the shit hits the fan. Okay. Jamal is positioning himself to be the next one in line. He don't realize this, but it looks like Jamal and Cookie who is bringing all of the people that Anika is getting rid of. They're taking all the rejects and making them big. Eventually, Hakeem is going to want to go over to his mama's side, but he ain't going to go to his mother. His mother is going to come to him. All right. Anika is going to find out what her daddy did, and she's going to find out why, the reason why Lucius really proposed to her, and that's going to be devastating for Anika Pope thing. I feel for her. You know, it's going to be a whole lot of stuff, and Vernon is undercover. Mark my words. I bet you that's going to be what happens. But the best thing to remember about the things that I just said, that Empire is going to convince our young men to pull up their fucking pants. Okay, that's it. Forgive my language. Alright, that's Amaretta Mama with my review on Season 1, Episode 6, out. A damn spot. That was a good one, y'all. Alright, see y'all next time. Peace.